Welcome to part two. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. It's nice when people subscribe, shows a bit of respect, doesn't it? We're joined by Ian on his second appearance on Porky's Corner. Are you all right, Ian?
All good, thanks, Russ. Thanks for
Yeah,
inviting me back on.
no problem. You're welcome on any time. Tommy Fury's done an interview. He's piped up, going on about addiction and mental health. You think it's repeat, 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 same as his stepbrother?
I think it just goes down the road of he was doing quite well for himself financially, and then he's now looking for possibly the sympathy vote.
Well, the father were taking half off him.
I did hear that. I find that
The
staggering.
father basically said they were business partners. If it weren't for him, he wouldn't have got anywhere. So there you go. John Fury's been out at Nick 10 years, never had a fight in his life, bare knuckle. But to hear him talk, he's under the no on hard road. But I always say this when you're punching people in back of head in the pub or side shotting, and when they're not looking, people half your size or at car auctions, that is not a bare knuckle fight, you numbskull.
Well, do you remember in Saudi when he headbutted the one of Usyk's team?
Yeah, that young kid who were half his size. I remember
Oh,
that.
just embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. But Turkey soon stop that. In fact, out of all the Furies, I'm quite pleased they're out of the game. But I do like Peter Fury. He comes across as a very genuine uh,
Yeah.
and a decent fella. But unfortunately for myself, that I'm not a fan of the Furies.
Well, listen, watch this space on that one because I don't believe a word none of them say, mate. That's how I look at it. But opinions vary, don't they? So, which brings me to Yui calling out Joshua and Usyk, and he's coming for all of them. But matchmakers are telling me that they don't want the Lawrence Okoli fight. Now, Lawrence Okoli is WBC number one ranked. Yui's not going to get an Usyk or a Joshua fight, is he? Because he's done that for donkey's years.
No,
So if you're offered the Coley fight, WBC number one, don't you take that? Deal with a Coley, right? Who's a career cruiserweight, and then you're in line for Usyk. You won't fight from the promised land. What would you do if you were handling Yui? Would you take the Coley fight?
well, I would because he's got to move now, but he's not particularly marketable, is he? So,
Well, there you go. But McCauley's not engaging, is he? Although he's icing men, isn't he?
well, this is the thing. I mean, he ices them,
Yeah.
but another boxer really that I know he's had some health issues. I'm not sure quite what the problem there was, but he just seems to have stalled his career. But his father seems a good coach, and he's trying to get him some big fights. But I never in a million years will that happen. And in my
Well, what
opinion,
about the Dylan White fight? Didn't Yui say it were in talks? And yeah, amongst Yui and his team, but Dylan White's advisor, the lawyer Jeffrey, and Dylan White had not been contacted. So how were that in talk? Or were that just lip service because they got a slot on WhatsApp? Oh, sorry, a Talk Sport, sorry, because Yui had a 5 minute on Talk Sport, didn't he? Where he wanted Joshua Usyk and he were going to make a statement against Dan Gerber, and it didn't
I think
happen, did it? And it's the same old repeat, 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 isn't it? It's
I
become boring now. And I mean, you're saying the old man's a good coach, but he's come out and said he put Yui in ring with a broken hand. What do you think to that?
well, don't they all say though that I heard George Groves saying that you've often got injuries. I mean, obviously a broken hand is it
Well, how
could
did Yui pass the medical though if he's got a broken hand?
well, how'd he kind of been past the drugs test?
Well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? But you know, when you have your medical at weighing, you've got a broken hand, you're not allowed to fight, are you?
I mean, look at Joe Joyce. How's he passing medicals?
Well, he didn't have broken hands. Joe Joyce, he just can't string a sentence together. He sounds Chinese, doesn't he?
But it isn't that part of the medical though.
Well, I
Physical.
saw Joe Joyce do an interview the other day, and to be honest with you, I thought he were underwater.
No, they took a video down. I believe he did one interview with one of the.
Yeah. What, the one where they asked him how long his training camp was, and he went, what, what were that? What did you ask me? And he says, how long were you training camp? And he went, like that, like Scooby Doo.
Have you ever met him
Yeah, I've
out?
met Joe Joyce. He's a big
What,
old unit, and you wouldn't like a whack off him.
what,
But
what,
he
what?
sounds like a retard to me.
Even when you're talking to him, does he come across a little bit slow?
Very, very slow. Very, very, very slow. But that's what happens when you're taking punches constantly. Do you know what I mean? And not moving your head. That'll be Dave Allen, that. Because Dave Allen, what is Dave Allen? 33 now. So he's about 7 year younger, 6.5 year younger than Joe. Dave will be punching for pay when he's 40 because he won't go get a job, will he? He likes to lay in bed till dinner time eating lion bars. But that's what happens, and the people will keep promoting these people, right? They keep digging them up. I mean, Sam Jones has asked about Joe Joyce, and he's gone, well, it's up to Joe. It's up to Joe what he does. Look, Joe Joyce is a big dummy, right? And he needs to get out of sport before his brains get scrambled. That's the bottom line. You've got to be harsh and tough love with these fighters because they need saving from themselves. I mean, Glenn McCraw is talking about comebacks now. He can't string a sentence together.
No.
Do you know what I mean? We've already had Mike Tyson pushing 60, wanted to get in the ring. We've got Joe Egan running around. He last had a fight when he were well, it was 30 odd year ago, Joe Egan last fought, and he still thinks he's got something. The man's on pip. He can't even get his coat on properly or turn or move his head. They just all think they've got something left in the tank because they all smell the old Bunsen burner, the old free gratis.
Well,
That's
there's some
what
big
it
money
is.
out there. They're all just trying to hang in there because many of these boys never earned much money. I mean,
No.
am I right in thinking that Sims, Conor Benn's coach, his son is something to do with Joe Joyce's management team?
Oh my God, Charlie Sims. Oh my God, not Charlie Sims, aka Johnny on the spot. Good old Charlie, 20% Sims. Hey, another Essex Ponce. Speaking of Ponces, is Mickey Theo going to fight Joe Egan? Because Mick were putting out Instagram posts, want you, Mick? Saying it's a done deal and it's going on Misfits and all this. What happened to that? Hey, good luck with that one. Hey, absolute wafflers. Big fighting men that don't fight.
It's
Ah!
a good point what you just said though, Russ. These boxers need protecting, and Joe
Oh,
Joyce,
yeah.
he needs Big Brother to put his arm around him and say, "You've made a few quid, get out."
Yeah.
But they won't. Well, they'll have one more dance.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree wholeheartedly. Have you been watching the snooker? Do you like snooker, Ian?
Yeah, I not used to in the old days. Not a lot now, Russ. But I know that Barry Hearn's is back on the radio again because he's pushing the world championships. But not a big snooker fan these days. I used to be when I was younger.
Well, I'm glad to be honest that Mark Selby's been knocked out by Wollaston's done him, hasn't he? Ben Wollaston, ranked 44, has done Mark Selby, who basically Mark Selby strangles the game. He's like a Cliff Thorburn. If he needs seven snookers, he goes for them. He tries to grind you down like Cliff Thorburn and Terry Griffiths, them sort of
Yeah,
players. They're not attacking snooker players for me. They're like safety first. They play like fucking accountants, and I've got no time for Mark Selby. I think he's an absolute cock. And the next guy I want to see get knocked out is that Sean Murphy. Sure, because he lived in Freiburg, near where I'm from, for a while, and he's not my cup of tea. He's Barry Earns mole in the hole, in snooker. Whenever there's a party, I'm not going to say which players, but whenever there's a party in one of the hotel rooms, Sean Murphy likes to report into HQ. Do you know what I mean? So I hope he gets splattered when he has his next match. But I'm glad Mark Selby's out of the tournament because he is an absolute bore. And
What
he's
about Ronnie?
hey.
What about Ronnie? Is he entered this
I've
year?
got no time for Ronnie O'Sullivan now. He's a cock as well. Do you know I've got no time for him at the moment. He honestly. No time for it. And everybody in snooker knows that certain players get tip offs when there's drug tests. But my argument is this. You know that Max fixing, and I keep going on about it. Stephen Lee got 12-year ban, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
But John Higgins, he's got brushed away, didn't it?
It depends on who you are. I mean, look at Liam Cameron, 4 years.
Four
For,
year, we're out at game 4.5, but 4-year ban. And look at all the rest of them. Fury, 3 issues, got a 2-year ban.
yeah,
Crusher Ben, 2 issues, nothing happened. Everything's brushed under the carpet. Nobody wants to speak about Yui's issue. Nobody dare ask anybody anything. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's manipulation. And a lot of people are absolutely shithouses in boxing because they all want to be, he's me pal, he's me pal, he's a pal of mine. I need to stay in with him for views. Nobody wanted to put it on Billy Joe about his doping. Coogan didn't put it on him, did he? His big pal. And nobody else did. You know what I mean? Because Billy's like he's like a bully in it at these press conferences, and nobody wants to say a word. Nobody's saying a word to Crusher about clomiphene. But like I said before, and I'll say it again, they were all sticking it to Jarrell and Miller, weren't they?
it's riddled, and I know that the fact that funding's down, so obviously um, the testing is going to be less. And I mean, they allegedly Mayweather, there was some issues about him years ago that because he knew when he was going to fight, he could set his training program up, and there was question marks about him. I mean, they say that this hair follicle test is the ultimate because it stays in your system for a year. So they could bring things like that in mandatory. Just give your hair follicle over, test it,
Yeah,
banned
yeah. Well, it goes back 6 months, doesn't it? The air follicle. That's what they did with Rio Ferdinand, didn't they?
6 months yet. But this is boxing. They're hitting each other in the face. I mean, I've heard people on the pads, and the noise is incredible at the open workouts. And then if they're juiced as well, I mean, I can't even imagine the pain they must be in taking these shots. And it appears that everyone forgives. I mean, is it Garcia's fighting in May now in the States?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree, mate. It's shocking what's going on, but nobody's saying a word, are
Well,
they? Go on, sorry.
the purists are. It's just the casuals who don't care
Yeah,
because they don't.
I just want to touch on this before we go. Dylan White, where's he go now in? Because he's like a Conor Ben type. He daren't go in with anybody, in my opinion, Dylan White, unless it's massive, massive dough. And it's a bit like the Anthony Yard situation, isn't it? They either want massive dough or they'll do it for less dough, but an easy win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's had a result, Anthony Yard, because he completely piddled on his own bonfire. He missed out on some big paydays, but he's
Where does he
obviously.
go yard now, though?
Well, we've got Lyndon Arthur fight on Saturday.
Yeah, I know that, but
I mean, it's not exactly lighting the house up, is it? I mean, I don't know. I don't
we've
know. I
seen
think
that twice, haven't we? We don't need to see that again, do we, really?
no, it's the same as Bibble and Better Biev. I mean, two incredibly talented boxers, but we've seen it twice.
Yeah, yeah, I agree where you're coming from, mate. Absolutely agree with you. Ben Shalom, do you think his goose will be cooked at Sky, or do you think that he's fighting back? He's got It's Big Freeze, uh, Lauren Price, Eubank. Uh, who else has he got him at Sky?
But Whitaker,
Whitaker, Ben Whitaker. Yeah, it looks like Adidas have dropped him though, doesn't it?
he's sort of a landmine, isn't he?
Mm.
Problem is the public are quite fickle, and he started playing games, and he came across as a really good lad, and I was waiting for Carl to talk to him at the interview, and that was one of my really upsetting moments because I used to watch Carl's channel whenever I saw a thumbnail that he got a new video up, and he didn't ask him any of the questions. So I've got a feeling Ben Shalom's going to be okay, and they're going to re-sign him on Sky. I really do.
Yeah.
I do. But what else? Who else has he got, Russ?
We haven't really got anybody else. I mean, people are talking It's Big Freeze against the White Rhino. If the White Rhino loses to Fisher, the Sky are on about throwing him a bone against It's Big Freeze in a rematch. Is that where we're at now? Rematch, Bill?
they're just struggling to put decent content on. As I said yesterday, that press interview with the COO of Ring Magazine, he actually said "horseshit fights."
Well,
And
what he's going to come out now, right? And he's just going to put stuff out what Turkey tells him to put out. They're using that as a tool, a propaganda tool, Ring Magazine. That shouldn't be allowed, that. The Bible of boxing being owned by a promoter, a boxing promoter, because all they're going to do is damage all the rivals with it, aren't they? Like De La Hoya did for years.
yeah, they're just going to. He's just going to set up his league up with Dana White. I think Bricktop's going to have access predominantly because of the relationship that George has with DAZN. Eddie mentioned yesterday that they overpaid for many, many fights when they did the startup. I can see personally Matchroom uh, boxers not renewing their contracts with him, whoever he's got left. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting with Ben Shalom. He's a smart boy. He's a lawyer, isn't he?
Ben Shalom, I didn't know you were a lawyer.
Yeah,
He reminds me of Harry Potter, but I call him Adrien Mole.
yeah. I think Russ. He's a solicitor. I
Oh, is
think
it? Well, this is how I look at it, right? What did you think of Adrian Mole's intense beef with Bombay Dave?
Wait, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they just wheel him out just to fill time up on the radio, don't they? I mean, he was supposed to be ill and now he's back in the mix and he was going to go off in a different direction. Dave Caldwell, they get him on for all the so-called big fights. The only person I really like listening to is Carl Frampton, if I'm totally honest. He seems to be someone that speaks openly and honestly about boxing. Everyone else, they seem to, as you say, Darren Barker, anything to do with Matchroom, they're the best, the bee's knees. Any other fighter, no comment.
Well, we'll see. But Darren Barker shouldn't be a commentator, but he's only there, isn't he, really, because he's hanging out at the back of that bird he's married from Matchroom, and so he's like family, isn't he?
Did you ever see him do the karaoke in lockdown?
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen him a few times. I think he's an absolute cock of a person.
yeah, I'm not a big fan personally, but
There's
yeah,
Tony Sims' family as well. He's well in with Earns, in his Sims.
well, yeah, they're all related in some way, aren't they? And
Yeah.
everyone just plays the game. That's what
Yeah,
they do.
that's all it is, mate. That's all it is. It is what it is. Uh, Tyson Fury, what's happening with him now? Is he going to fight again? Joshua, what's happening with them? Why is it all stood on its upside down, the heavyweight division now? Why is it parked up? What's going on here, Ian?
They've parked it up because Uncle Turkey wants that fight. Right, that's what he wants, and I think Joshua will do it. And I just think Fury isn't sure what he wants. I don't personally want to see it. I'd rather see some of the fresh new boys coming through. Who's the lad that beat Fraser Clark? I've just forgotten his name for a second. He's fighting down.
Fabio Wardley.
Yeah, I mean, he speaks well. Have a fight with them. Joshua take on Wardley rather than just sit there waiting for two has-beens.
Well,
I mean,
why is Yui calling out Usyk and
uh,
Joshua? He's never going to get them fights.
never in a
Call
minute.
out Wardley and Lawrence Okoli, fights that can be made.
I agree, but I think the Fury situation's all based on Riyadh season and how much he's going to be paid. He might just be sitting there waiting to see if the cash register goes up, or he might just. I mean, to be fair, he lost those fights fair and square, and I didn't like all the bravado going up to the fight, the total disrespect for a supreme champion, classless, really. So personally, I hope he does stay in retirement. He's got a big family, he's got a load of dough. Just crack on with that. But wouldn't surprise me if he comes back out again and they have a fight with Joshua.
The rumour around the campfire is that Wardley against Jarrell Miller might not even happen. That's the word doing the rounds. It might not
Re-
even happen.
reason?
Well, ticket sales and apparently people are saying they're just testing water to see how popular he is in area. So we're going to see, aren't we? But there's
He was just
no undercard named yet, and like I said, it's only what we're 4:35 and 7. We're only 6 week away, and there's no undercard. So if they do name it and there's an undercard, these undercard lads have only got 5 6 weeks to prepare for the guy. You know what I mean?
what
It's unheard of that, isn't it? You know, a big stadium fight and there's no undercard and it's only 6 weeks till it starts.
I hadn't heard that, Russ.
Yeah,
Unless
that's the word. Well, I
Miller,
speak to matchmakers all the time, you see. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it, why they'd go to all that trouble to announce Wardley against Miller and there's still no undercard. And you see
it's a
where I'm
good
coming
point.
from?
Yeah, 'cause normally the press conference you go through the whole card, don't they? Or at least give you a snippet.
Well, let's
Unless
have a check. There's still no undercard here. Still no
really,
undercard.
they could. Oh, that's going to be a disaster. Well, I didn't fancy the fight anyway. Really, another one of the people that have come back from PED ban.
Well, let's see Wardley against Yui, 6'5" against 6'6", both 30-year-old. Yui's a slickster and Fabio Wardley's a banger. Well, let's see. That's
Great.
a good matchup, that. Nobody's calling out Wardley, are they?
And then that would then, if he did well, put a good performance on. That's going to improve his status, and they can push on and get other fights. But you've got to start somewhere. You've got to fight rather than flight. I don't know. It seems to be everyone, as you said earlier, tries to pick the easiest one they can.
Well, they're saying David Adelaide's the 32nd best heavyweight in the world, 32nd.
Okay,
And his rematch with Jamie TKV is still not made. So it remains to be seen what happens, doesn't it, with that? But do I want to see that rematch? Yeah, I think it's got to happen.
I agree.
Eh?
Yeah, I agree.
It's got to happen, that rematch, because it's unfinished bacon, isn't it, I guess?
What happened to the referee there? Did he get a red card from the British Boxing Board of Control?
No, I don't think he did actually. I think they just said that there's got to be a rematch. I forgot the ref's name actually now. But no, I don't think he did, mate. I don't think he did. But it's one of them, innit?
Well, he said break, and he give him a whack, didn't he? So they've got to have a rematch. Got to.
Yeah, they've got to have a rematch. Will they? I don't know. Referee Ron Kearney,
Okay.
but he never got demoted, did he? He and John Lewis would have been thrown at Wolves on that, or Jeff Hines, any of them boys, wouldn't they?
They threw him under the bus, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. And Jeff Hines is probably one of the best referees they've had, but they won't give him his A star, would they?
Yeah, strange. Well, that's a little close
You know
shot. That
that A star, A star lot. It's all a little club in it. I mean, Howard Foster, he's the new Ian John Lewis, and he could stop a train at 125 mile an hour, couldn't he, Howard Foster? But yeah, yeah, if it's the away fighter, uh, pounding in the punches against the home fighter, he's not going to stop anything, is he? But soon as the home fighter gets a dig in on the away fighter, he jumps in, doesn't he, like Ian John Lewis?
well, you can remember the Froch Groves one. That was
Well, I don't agree with that, you see, because there's 17 unanswered punches, and and he looks spent to me. But my argument with that one is Groves turned his back, didn't he, after the last punch, and Howard Foster jumped in then. You're not supposed to turn your back, and they kept him in hospital all night with a concussion, but nobody spoke about that. Now, Howard told me that's going to be in his book, but no, they wanted to sell the rematch, didn't they? So you can argue till cows come home on that. Maybe it might have been stopped a couple of seconds too early, but the rules state if you turn your back, it's supposed to be stopped, isn't it?
correct. Yeah, I mean, it was a great night and a sad ending, really. But as you say, I think the most important thing is protect the boxer. So when he's too late, I mean, we've seen it, haven't we? So maybe going a bit earlier is the right thing to do.
Yeah. What do you think to this intense beef with Adrien Mole and Bricktop?
Crazy. I don't even understand it. I do not know where. where Bricktop's anger comes from. I mean, he's about 75 years of age, and he when he's being interviewed, he absolutely loathes him. Why?
They're all scared to death to interview Bricktop.
Yeah,
All you always see now when we see a Bricktop interview with Umar IFL Umar, all we see is Umar noshing him off.
yeah,
That's
but
all we see.
does Queensbury own Box Nation YouTube channel?
Yes, it does.
Right. So basically, Umar is on the payroll. Is that correct?
Umar's on the payroll, basically. That's what's going on. And he's interviewing a man who's in his 74th year. So his next birthday is 74-year-old Bricktop. And he's actually getting noshers off Umar for free.
I don't know where he gets the energy from to have so much poison towards Ben Shalom. I mean, you'd think he'd
Well,
want
it's
to try.
because they want the Sky deal for themselves. Sky's a behemoth. And Ben Shalom's not putting on the fights that bestows the channel. I mean, we even had Horsecock digging Adrien Mole out regarding the Liam Cameron and Ben Shalom contract. Horsecock were digging him out, so it's obvious they all want him gone because he doesn't know what he's doing, does he, Adrian?
Well, he came out of the frying pan straight into the fire. But to be fair to him, Russ, he's trying his best in a toxic environment because no one throws you a bone in boxing, do they?
Nobody throws you the box. Nobody gives you a leg up in boxing unless there's something in it for them. Do you know what
But
I mean?
but the problem was Eddie just got on his horse and rode off into the sunset and left Sky in the lurch.
He did, mate. Absolutely.
So what does Sky do? I mean, they've got a good customer base with the boxing. He took Joshua with him as well. Um, I don't know. I think it's quite healthy in boxing to have different personalities. You don't want them all like Ed. I mean, Eddie and Bricktop used to hate each other until Uncle Turkey came on board. Despised each other.
Yeah, and this probably still do really, but the thing is, you see, right? Money talks and bullshit walks, and this lot would sell the grannies for a pound note, mate. Absolute pound note.
But you've got to say the stable at Queensbury is excellent. They've got, I mean, virtually every heavyweight signs for them. So whether it's Bricktop or it's George or Francis, they seem to be building for the future
Yeah,
because I think they're going to have to potentially go back to the old days of self-funding.
there.
Well, we're going to see what happens next. I think what they've done, they've let Turkey in, and he never said a word for the first few months, and they're all sort of looking at him as if he's God. And then he's like a sponge. I mean, he's even had an interview with Simon Jordan again.
Who
He
has
wants
Bricktop?
no Uncle Turkey.
Oh, Turkey.
Yeah, he's met up with him, and he asked him why he's not going to the fight, and he said, "Well, it's not for him because of all the reasons." And obviously, he's made it crystal clear now, as you say, with the Ring magazine, so he can control the written press. And what he's going to try and do with this boxing lead, I mean, it could be that long term Queensbury are back on their own, or there may be some merger. But as I say, I just don't think Eddie's Turkey's cup of tea, if I'm honest.
Don't you?
It's too loud and brash.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, right? They all went over there and they give Turkey a nosh. They were all holding hands and singing We Are the World. And he's looked at him over the last 2 years, I think, this Turkey dude with tea towel on his head. And he's thought, do you know what? I'm not keen on this lot. They've got no morals. In fact, they've got morals of an alley cat, but they sell the grannies for a pound note. And I think he's looked at them and thought they're all greedy, but let's just see where we go with it. And none of them have actually been stand on, I think, except Usyk's team. And that's who he wants to hang around with, isn't it? Usyk, he's massive mates with Usyk's manager, isn't he? And it looks to me like Turkey's sussed them all out for what they are.
Well, they're
And
very.
he's gone now and partnered up with a guy that's never put a boxing fight on in his life as his partner. I mean, how can he be giving good advice about boxing? Because Turkey, I think, has weighed them all up and realised how easy it is to put shows on. You only need money and knows what they all earn. And I think he's thought, you lot are not for me. I don't know. What do you think?
You've nailed it. I mean, they couldn't get you Ben fight on. He makes 2 phone calls. How much
Well,
do you
look,
want?
Eddie Hearn couldn't get Wilder on against Joshua and Fury against Joshua. He's supposed to be best promoter in the world. They've been talking about them fights for over 10 years, and Eddie Hearn couldn't make them. So Turkey won't be able to make them either, I don't think. But it is what it is, isn't it?
Well, he realizes he doesn't need them now. And don't forget, it's a very respectful country if you travel there. They're trying to build up on tourism. I know you can't get a pint of beer.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you will. But culturally, they're very respectful. And all this effing and jeffing and shouting and screaming, I just don't think it's in their DNA. And I think Eddie has stood on a banana skin, if I'm honest,
Yeah.
because they've let him in and he's taking over.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. He's not stupid, is he? Do you think that Frotz should have asked Turkey about the Saudi atmosphere and the human rights and the Saudi national anthem?
Yes, I do. And I think if he'd worded it correctly, he'd have got an honest answer.
Mm.
I think this guy is approachable. I think
Yeah.
I yeah, I do. I think you can have a straight conversation with him. It's just that doesn't seem to be the case.
Everybody's scared to death when they're out there because they think they might get put in prison or their arms cut off or
Well,
something. Do you
well,
think?
well, there is that. I reckon you can leave your wallet in the hotel on the side, go out for the day, come back, and it's sitting in exactly the
Yeah,
same
it's
place.
because it's because there's cameras everywhere and they're ruled by fear. They always say, don't they? Which would you be like to be? Would you like to be loved or feared? And Turkey likes to be feared, doesn't he?
He does, but he is someone that listens. He seems to warm towards Simon Jordan, even because he's a self-made businessman. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
because
Simon
he,
Jordan's hanging out at back of him constantly for crumbs, isn't he? That's all it is. He'd love to be main anchor on DAZN or something, wouldn't he? Or have a chat show off back of Turkey. And that's why Jordan's there. He's no different to the rest of them.
but I think he's got possibly better morals. If I'm honest with you, there
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, because he's still a millionaire himself, isn't he? But he'd love to do something with Turkey, and so would the Gad and all the rest of them. That's why they nosh him off.
Yeah, but the Gads just go through the gears. I think Simon. That actually is a good point. Maybe they've had a meeting about doing some business.
Well, you never know, dear, but it looks to me like Eddie Hills, the Iceman, 7-0, 5 by way of, and old Dinted Bricktop. It looks like they're on the way out with Turkey, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think possibly Queensbury are going to be okay, but I think Matchroom toast, and I can see Eddie just going off. He's made a lot of money. He's a very smart operator, and but now that DAZN has got Turkey's bought part of DAZN, and he actually about 4 or 5 weeks ago in a couple of interviews said a couple of disrespectful things about Turkey's vision. And then when you start slagging off the paymaster, it's over.
Agree. Well, listen, it's been great to have you on, Ian.
Oh, well, thank you, Russ. I really appreciate you letting me come on.
No problem, mate. You're welcome on here anytime. You speak very clearly and you know your stuff.
Well, thank you. And can I have a shout out to your commission boys as
Of
well?
course you can, yeah.
They're all
Do you want me
great.
to pass your number on to commission, lads?
I'd love you to, if you
I'll
don't mind.
sort that for you, mate. No
And
problem.
Russ, if you want me to come on again, please just reach out. I'd love to have another chat with you.
Yeah, we'll have a chat after Eubank fight. How's about that?
Brilliant. Thanks, mate.
You take care, Ian.
Have a good weekend, buddy.
Bye, mate. Cheers.
Bye now.
Well, that were Ian from Kent. Women love him, men want to be him. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Now we're going to have a quick blast on my mountain bike. And then we've got Ellis on in a two-parter. Pop, pop, bang. Booyaka.